Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another one of these long 15-20 minute rambles with yours truly. So today, Jagex released a blog about third-party clients once again. So this isn't the first time they've done this. They've done this many times, but this time they're saying something very, very important. Alright, I'm gonna go through it real quick, and then I'll explain my thoughts as we, continue going on. And there's been some recent developments as well with RuneLite and some other clients too. So I'll also be talking about that as well. So let's get right into it. Alright, so today is the 17th. The official Jagex launcher went into open beta back in March, offering big improvements to the login experience. Other enhancements have followed, such as the recent ability to play old school via the popular community-led RuneLite client directly from the launcher. I haven't used the launcher myself, so I don't have too many thoughts about that, but yeah, so what's next? Okay, we're going to be talking about third-party clients. For as long as old school has existed, unofficial clients and features have existed alongside it. Yeah, like in the early days, you used to have stuff like Conduit and RuneLoader, and I remember like in the early days, like Conduit had red X's for AoEs like Shaman come. So it's at the time, no one really cared about it. It was once more and more plugins started coming out for like Cobb, that's when it kind of got out of hand. So we've spoken before about being more proactive in protecting the interests of the game and acting if its health is threatened. As a game's owner, we need to look both at the current situation and where things are headed. So this is what they're going to do. Right? They've approved 3 clients that people can use. RuneLite, which is what everyone knows. OS Buddy, which who the fuck uses OS Buddy in this day and age? But then we have HiImSido, which is actually a client I might be looking a bit more into, because if I'm being honest, I'm a big nostalgia fan for 2008 graphics, and that is the graphics that this client is based around. It's using 2008 graphics or assets from that age. So I might consider streaming with it, at least when I'm not doing like high intensity PVM. I don't know yet. I just love the 2008 graphics to death, so we'll see about that. Let me not sidetrack too much. Alright, so they're, again, outlining the rules more, but they did mention, like, not everything's going to be listed. It just kind of gives you a general idea of the stuff they don't want to be seeing. Use of any other clients is going to be a breach of terms and conditions. So, after the 24th, if you're found using any of these clients, any of these so-called unofficial clients, you're copping a 2-week. You get a 2-week ban. Yeah, so it says it right here. Should players be found to be using other clients beyond this date, their accounts will be banned for 2 weeks. Continuing infringement beyond this will result in permanent account bans. We do not wish to unfairly punish anybody, but we must take necessary action to protect the game. Thank you for working with us. We firmly believe that this is in old school's best interest. With your assistance, we can solve the issue of detrimental third-party features and focus our efforts on the improvement of our own clients. So yeah, that's basically it. We can kind of go back into the third-party guidelines and just like read through that real quick. So again, you have the approved clients here, and it just goes for all the stuff. So like anything that indicates where projectiles will land, indicates time where a boss mechanic may start or end, adds additional visual audio indicators of a boss mechanic except in cases where this is the manually triggered external helper, yada yada yada. Alright, so I don't think there's really too much more to show. I might flip out some examples that I find out throughout the day. Like for example, there was a updated post on RuneLite. So let me actually open that up real quick. So they mentioned the Jagex rules updates here, but they also adding a lot of plugins that a lot of people kind of go to cheat clients for. Some big names like Adicon, you might go to his stream and he's using cheat clients so he can use Entity Hider. Well, guess what? We are going to have Entity Hider in RuneLite. Of course, it is currently in a buggy state. I'll probably post the clip of Addy trying to do Ice Demon. Yeah, so they are adding a lot of plugins that people want. So let me just go over real quick. So like I said, removing dead NPC menus. The menu entry swapper now has a setting to remove menus for dead NPCs. This prevents clicking on them while they are dying, as well as casting spells. The Entity Hider additionally has an option to remove the NPC completely, so it is no longer rendered. This is fantastic. Walk Here Swap. It is now possible to lock here for both left click and shift click on NPC by shift right clicking them and selecting the corresponding swap option. There's also a global shift click walk here setting in the menu swapper configuration that affects all NPCs. Okay, so this is my only concern, okay? And I'm not trying to say this to try to be like, take this away, but I haven't tested this yet. But what if, okay, let's say you're doing Nihilor, right? What if you set it to the Nihilist that you don't want to attack at all? So let's say you're ranging, you get rid of the option to hit the melees when holding shift, you remove the options to hit the mages while holding shift. So when you're like holding shift and you're hovering over shit, you can only hit the ranges. I am not sure if that's going to work. But if it ends up working the way I think it is, that's going to be budget wheelchair. It's actually going to be budget wheelchair. So, again, like I said, I haven't tested it out, so I might go fuck around with that and see if it's even possible. But I'm wondering if that is possible, they probably should tweak that, because budget wheelchair. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, warrant item swaps. Menus on warrant items can now have their left click and shift click options swapped, which can be configured by shift right clicking the item when wielding. I think this is good. Alright, I used to use this for max soup, so I'm happy about this. Now, this is the other big thing. So a big reason that I would be using client, or at least socket on client, would be for specs. So they're gonna make it a lot easier using party system improvements. As you may have noticed, we recently updated the special attack counter plugin to show a spec drop overlay on the player when a special attack lands. This feature works with the reworked party system, which allows the spec drops to show on your party members. Party system no longer requires Discord integration to send or join invites, and instead uses a passphrase system. This is a lot less finicky and works more reliably when multiple clients are running. Creating a party now gives you a passphrase such as robe set raw purple, which you share with your friends. You just need to click join party and paste the passphrase. There are also several small improvements and bug fixes, including the inventory and chat box are now movable by holding Alt. As usual, they can reset to the default position via Alt right click. The Alt key used to drag overlays around is also configurable within the RuneLite settings. NPC aggression time right now is a setting to show. NPC indicators now has an option to highlight true southwest tile and true tile. They've also added that as well. So, yeah, I think this is fantastic because a lot of the things that I use cheat client for, quote unquote, cheat client for, is because of entity hider and for specs, right? Now, when I'm doing CMs, I typically don't rely on specs as much. I just go off of hit splats. But now, since there's a reliable way of getting on party, we might just rely on specs, you know, just looking at the specs a bit more. But even then, you can just look at the hit splats for a lot of things, like, let's say, Ohm or Tecton, to kind of determine what should you do here. But you can also kind of see the BGS specs now, because the biggest issue was we couldn't tell what the BGS specs were, outside of, like, the 2 people BGS in there would just call out what they hit. But yeah, I think this is great news. This is big news. Now, I only have some small complaints that I'm hoping that does get integrated in the future, and it's just that, well, one, entity hider isn't completely fixed, so I hope they fix that. A big thing that they should do is have like a list or like custom lists, so you can determine what gets, you know, deleted, what gets hidden, because I don't want everything to be hidden. Like, for example, let's say the blobs from Inferno, right? It is kind of good to not have those hidden, because then you can kind of be like, oh, I should stand here for them. Like, stand exactly in the spot in preparation to chip. But, that's just my 2 cents on it. I think it would be good to have some custom lists for that. I'm not sure if there's custom lists for, like, let's say you only want these NPCs that have true tiles and these that have normal tile. I'm not sure if there's custom lists for that, but I'm just hoping that they add that. That's probably like my only gripe, because I just hope they add that. Now, with all that said, let's go back to the main topic, which was, okay, third-party clients are gonzo. Or the big ones, like Steroid, Spoonlight, Open. So those are going to be some of the ones that you can't really use. Oh, and FumoLite as well. Can't forget Puma Light. But yeah. So what does this mean? I feel that, not to be absolutely toxic, but there are some players who are just overly reliant on plugins. Some of the plugins that I've seen some people come in with, typically like for CMs, is they depend a lot on AoE. So let's say Boss of Boulders, Shaman come, and I guess Olm as well for Falling Crystals and specials and stuff. And I'll say this right now, it turns your brain off. It absolutely just, your brain just goes, like, zero. Absolutely zero. And then in top, I can kind of see some of the usefulness for it, because, for example, it's really hard to track all of the Nylas in the room. Some Nylas live longer than other Nylas, and then they eventually just blow up, so sometimes you just want to straight up ignore them. But, you know, that's just how it's going to be. It will make, I'd say, the smaller scales a bit harder. 5-mans, it doesn't matter. 4-mans, it doesn't matter as much. It's just, I'd say, like in maybe trio or duo or even solo, it's very difficult to track all of those Nylas. So I can kind of see those rooms becoming a bit harder, even with, you know, the retention of Entity Hider. But I think it is still a good thing that they're taking the actions to get rid of these clients. Because, like I said, I just feel that people's brains have just turned into fucking mush. And so, like, sometimes the client is literally just playing for the player. I saw some plugins for one guy, and he had it where he didn't even need to go to spellbook to fucking freeze crabs. All he needed to do was just fucking click the crab, and it automatically had barrage, like, selected. Or there's another guy who all he had to do, one press of the fucking keyboard, boom, all the switches are on. Absolutely fucking insane. So, I will say that for some time, there will be some high-level players who might downgrade in play. There's going to be some people who quit, and there's going to be some people who it's going to take some time to adjust to playing on RuneLite. But, like I said, I think that it is a good thing that we will no longer be seeing these clients. So, what am I going to do now that these clients are gone? I think for the next coming days, I will probably still be playing on the client I've been playing on, at least up until 24th. But it's mostly for Inferno reasons, and because I have a lot of my plugin presets on there. But I've already made some adjustments on RuneLite. So like the other day I was playing on RuneLite, and I was just messing around with some of the plugins just to kind of prepare myself for one client to go. I keep saying clients, but not all clients are gone. Just the big name ones like Steroid and them. But once those clients are gone, I will be moving on to RuneLite, and I think I should be fine. I don't think I'll be running into too many problems. The only thing is I'll have to adjust a bit with some of my shift swaps being gone. Just to name a couple off the top of my head. In Cox, I had a custom swap for when I hold shift, it lets me open private chest. Another one is I had it where when I hold shift on a charged trident, I empty out bloods, and uncharged, I would fill in bloods. All I had to do is just, you know, type in 1k. So if anyone watches my CM streams, they'll probably see me do that a lot. Now I will probably have it where to uncharge it, it will be I just hold shift. Like I'll just retain the holding of shift, but for charging I'll just have to use a blood rune and type 1k, which won't be as bad. Apparently now it is, like back then you used to stop in place when you tried to fill in bloods, but they fixed that now. So no matter your stats like dropping and stuff like that, you can just uncharge or charge your Sang without the worry of having to stop in movement. So you don't have to be in as much of a rush to refill your trident. So I guess that's not as necessary. What else? I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's really much else to say. Now, I haven't really seen the stance of every single person who's making clients. Like, I don't know the exact stance of the people at Open. I don't know the stance of the people who are working on Spoon. But I saw McNeil's stance. And if you don't know who McNeil is, he's the one that runs Steroid, which is probably one of the biggest clients that people use. Or, you know, one of the biggest cheat clients that people use. He said that he's going to be discontinuing the, client as a whole once the 24 hits. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But this was someone who's been saying for a while, like once they made like a stance for it, or once they made like a good client, they were gonna, you know, stop doing what they're doing. And yeah, that's exactly what's happening. RuneLite is now adding plugins that people have been wanting for a long time, and now Jagex is taking a stance saying, alright, get the shit out of here. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else, if there's really much else to say in regards to this. Because, again, I think this is good. I think this is really good. Like, RuneLite is finally getting plugins that we've been wanting for a long time. And now we won't have people depending on numbers the whole time. I guess I can just talk a little bit more about POM, because, oh man, the amount of people who depended on fucking numbers in tick counters for stuff like Berserk is actually insane. So, doing stuff like solo Tom, Gauntlet, and some other pieces of content in the game, well, you actually have to pay a bit more attention now, because you're not going to be carried by numbers anymore. You actually got to use your fucking brain. Of course, you can do some workarounds. Like, after all, there is a reporting button in the game that you can use to count ticks, but there won't be numbers directly on bosses. So, yeah, that's basically it. I don't really know if there's much else for me to say. I just wanted to kind of get this ramble out, not as soon as possible. I read the blog hours ago, and then I was kind of thinking to myself about it. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of look into this a bit more and see what developments came out. But yeah, that's basically it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I've been talking to people in my Discord about it, and it seems like a good portion of people are happy. There's some other people who said that they're not potting top anymore, they're only going to be potting chambers. And there's others that say they need to get Gauntlet done as soon as possible before fucking third-party clients get the boot. But, yeah, just let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'll be reading the comments, and I'll be replying to everybody. That's it. Hope you guys have a good night, or good day, wherever you are. And, yeah, hopefully the client chases don't absolutely nuke your performance, because that would suck. But I think that everyone has an opportunity to learn without it, so, yeah, that's basically it. See you guys.